Done.
Thank you. I'll share my screen. So which one are you seeing? Are you seeing my Slack or are you seeing the board? I'm not sure.
The
Seeing
board.
the board.
Seeing the board.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So, John, do you want to go issue by issue, or do you want to tackle the most important issues first? Which way?
Probably the most, yeah, probably the most important. I mean, like last night, we weren't quite there where the EMF and SMF were coming up, but it sounds like we made some progress over the U.S. evening. So I don't know if you wanted to fill in where we are. I'm Wim on those pieces.
Yeah.
So
this was one
I'm
of the
trying not
important
to
issues. Yeah, the 88. It was one of the issues. I mean,
Yeah, that one's where is that?
Yeah.
That
I
one's
mean,
different.
we can tackle it later. I was just going by.
Okay.
So I looking at. I was talking. I was going to Sandbox was there. I know we had a workaround for this one manual test for provisioning Mac Fusion. I know that's not for the R1 manual test. This is also we have very high confidence, Dennis, that he will do it. The first three issues were there, and the fourth issue was this one. I think this was one of the. This is obviously we need to do for the release, so that's why it's going with that list.
Probably the biggest.
Yeah. So define and add resources.
Section in the setup for this work item is like we have this high level.
Wait, I'll mute. Ravi.
Yeah. So I think Wim and
Yeah, so
Stephen.
this, I think, I don't know whether John, and yesterday we talked whether John, and probably not, because I think John was, I don't know. I mean, did you, I think the last status is that.
I did not have time to work with Stephen on this.
Yeah, that's what I
So I'm working on the
Today
lower
we
half
should have-
first. So right now the lower half, which is the SMF piece. So I should have to. So a couple of things, right? So the first thing is my fork API branch has a pending PL for something unrelated. So if we can, there's some comments. Let me fix that. If someone can merge this, I can put in the new API changes. So that's one thing.
So can you give us that link here?
Yes, I have a pending PL on the NF topology. So that kind of eats my branch up by not able to set another API.
Can you put the link, Stephen? We will make sure we'll immediately.
Yeah. I mean, it's an unrelated thing, but then it's pending. So my branch is kind of hogged because of this. And then there's, I have a question
you
for
can
Wim.
create a separate branch for it, but.
Yeah, but then I'm already committed to main. So if I branch off of main, they still have the changes from the other one. So that's the tough part.
I see.
Yeah.
So
the other thing was
there was
I posed a question for
feedback on
Vim
that one
in
as
terms
well.
of this, in terms of the proposed CLD, the config string, is it going to be a JSON string of UPF deployment?
we have to decide. You can decide, in my view, right? So
Okay, yeah. So I'll put it as a JSON string, but then you have to do the same thing on specializations to take.
Yeah,
the UPF
that's easy. I
deployment.
mean, we just marshal and on.
You have to mark. Yeah.
Yeah.
So make that, because my testing stops at when I apply SMF deploy. So I just want to make sure that we're not out of sync with specialization. There's not a lot of time. So those two out of the way. Yeah, the other things should be there. So I'll post the first. Another thing would be integrating with specialization. So you talk about. So I'm going to talk to John later on the example package. But then you said example, so when I have the specialization, what kind of things needs to be done, I guess, on the specialization?
So we need to create a controller, right? Because we have to go to the IP side. And what has to happen is based on the package name that we put inside. So we go through all the package resources. we see that the package name matches. If the
Okay.
package name matches, we have to look for a condition on UPF deployment, and if it's complete, we take that config that is in that package, and we marshal it in JSON, right? And then we
Okay.
add it.
But if not, then you don't push the SMF package.
Yeah.
deployment
So there
before.
will. Yeah. So the first. So we
Because,
have
well,
to.
because of one thing, the conditions are not all clear anyway. So
Yes. Yeah.
at that point, yeah. And then you have code to set the conditions. So there's a controller that would be
Happens
setting those
automatically,
conditions.
so you don't have to do anything for that. So that the
Okay.
SDK does that for you.
Okay.
So you have.
So let me get the lower half PL out today,
Yeah.
and then I guess tomorrow, if you have time, we can do one integration.
Yeah, I can probably still help because I'm
Okay. Okay.
depending.
I'll ping.
Yeah, so I probably can still help on the specialization. Assuming that everything that I did is repeatable
Okay. Okay.
so far,
Yeah,
because that's for me the highest priority, right? Because if there's no specialization for the basic things, then the advanced things probably, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
my thing, but yeah.
Yeah. So here's the sequence. I'll update the NF topology API PL. So if you guys can merge that, I'll be able to put in the API change for this, and then also the controller change, the SMF controller change. So that should all come sometimes today.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah.
And then the
take a
next
look-
step
I'll
would
take a
be
look
the
at that.
example
It looks like
package.
you
The example package, and then when we have the example package, I'll work with Vim to do final integration.
Yeah, we need to write a function, the specialization. I actually control it, but it's actually you write a function and you just embed it in a controller.
Yeah,
That's-
I mean, I hope it's just a function, not like a new controller, but yeah.
But for you have to find the logic, and you probably are not up to date with it. So once you understand, probably it will be easy, but I'll help you to understand it. It's
Okay.
not a big deal.
All right, thank you. So we will
Still work to do, yes.
the conclusion tomorrow. Yes, yes.
An has a hands up.
Cool.
Has her hands up.
Hey,
Sorry.
this
Yeah,
may
go
be a good time to jump in. So Tal has a PR out to refactor SMF code, AMF, UPF, I think. And I looked through the SMF portion and it looks good to me, but the problem is I don't have cycle to test it. And I'm really saying, yeah, go ahead, it looks good. And then with all the changes that are still coming in.
Yeah, I do want to say that my SMF controller changes will be based on what An has, not what Tao has. So there'll be some changes before Tao,
please don't do
maybe
that,
before Tao's
Travis.
finger coming.
Can you change that? Is it too late to change that? 'Cause
No, it's not too late. I mean,
I
it's
think we're just
doable.
about.
Do you want to merge Tao stuff? Like,
Yeah, I
pretty
think
soon?
yeah, I think we probably will. I haven't really looked at it, but Dennis looked at it now, and looked at it, said they looks good. And unfortunately, I haven't gotten my E2E system to the stage where it engages, so I don't know. But if it generally looks good, you know, I don't know. I would probably prefer to try to move on with that rather than.
Yeah, but it's not.
Otherwise, it's going to be very hard probably for him to.
Sorry.
Yeah, like what? So presumably the unit tests pass, and Tal has tested it. So I'm a little concerned if we make big changes based on the older code, then retrofitting the newer code with those is going to be hard. So that's where it is a difficult. I guess I would ask that if Dennis tried it and got it working, and unfortunately you don't have time to test it now, but if the unit tests are passing and Tal tested it, I think we can probably trust that it's okay. And Tal's saying he's there to fix it if it's not. So
Okay.
so maybe we just go with it. And
yeah, I knew.
But it's a good point that you raised, because we don't want to diverge.
Yeah, I didn't know that they were already, Tal already tested it. I look at the changes for SMF, and it looks good, but being conservative at this point is the better part of valor, I guess. So I wanted to
I
test
hear
it
you.
myself.
Yeah.
But I mean, if Tal tested it and Dennis is using it, then I'm okay with it. Then I'm just worried that changes will break something right before the release.
But Dennis is not here though on the call.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess the risk is we can always go back and use the old images, but we wouldn't have
Right.
Steven's newest changes if he makes the new changes off of.
Wait. It's not 100% working.
Tal is saying he implemented the
Okay.
feedback from Dennis. So, and then he says, I'm just reading his chat. I think Tal has issues with his computer now. He says, talked with Dennis last night, implemented the small fixes now. He has pushed his new images. And then, like he says, worst case, I move back to 3.1.1 just for UPF. That's what he says. I think the issues are in UPF. That's according to Tal's message here. And he looks to be confident. And the worst case scenario is like John also mentioned, going back to the older image for UPF.
I guess somebody typing. Is it typing? Sound?
Sounds
Oh,
like
can
it's
people
Tal.
hear me actually?
Yes.
Yeah,
I can
sounds like it's
hear you.
Tal. Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting like
Yes.
just so many errors. I wanted to reboot my computers. Anyway, everything's in the in the chat. Sorry about that. That was me typing.
Okay. I mean, my only concern was
we got
no
to hear the
testing.
clicky instead of your voice.
I am a computer.
Okay.
Tal, your keyboard is feeling bad. Don't be angry.
It sounds like an
Keyboard is fine.
old-fashioned keyboard,
Um,
a fancy one.
Okay, so I think the conclusion is, Stephen, if you can base your new changes off of Tal's PR, why don't we just merge Tal's PR now, and then
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's a good idea. We can do really quick fixes, and I wanted to propose actually something. Maybe for the next few days, can we just merge, like people with access? Could we just like recommit?
I've been doing
I don't know how
that. I
everybody
have
feels
to
about
admit,
that.
I have been doing that for the.
Okay.
I have to admit, for the last 36 hours, I've just been saying F it, and I'm like, I can't wait for reviews. There's so many little tiny stupid changes, and it so when there's something that's like a different approach or a major thing, then I've been asking for a review, but I've merged them. Yeah, I must admit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just let everybody know as a community that if I do make changes to free 5GC after this this PR merges, they're exactly that, just point fixes to make sure that it works. So I'm not going to make any. If there's anything else, I'll do a PR. Okay, so it's just fixes to the PR. And like I said, the absolutely worst case, I move back UPF to 3.1.1 just to make it work. Okay.
So Tal, your starter data is actually being more like style code changes and small changes, right? But it shouldn't have any functional impact.
I worked all weekend to, if you look at the code, you'll barely recognize it. It's the same code. It's just a lot of changes to go to the structure. I moved a lot of duplicate code to functions, utility functions. So it's actually a major refactoring. I spent many hours on it, but nothing. I think the thing that's breaking is not my refactoring, but I also updated our dependencies to the latest. So the latest controller runtime, the latest versions of free 5GC, which only for UPF changed. I didn't actually know that we were using an older version of UPF. So I think those are the things that are breaking. But yeah, those are easy to move back if that becomes an issue. I mean, in one commit, I can move it back and push a new image. So yeah. I mean, I'd rather us be on the latest and greatest, but if that somehow breaks, then we can always move back.
And I would right now be conservative and focus on something being functional and then having a point release to make it latest. I mean, that's another alternate too, but I see where you're going with it too. I know.
Sure, as I said, it will take me seconds. Like I'm online.
So looks
I'll be
like you have
online
a
and-
contingency to move it back, mitigate it.
So-
Okay.
So the
One
question
Yeah, so I
request.
think that even if we merge things like with that, like we should do them as PRs and then merge the PR, because that way you can revert it pretty easily with just a click in GitHub. I mean, obviously if it's 7 PRs back, it's harder, but like yesterday or the day before, we merged a PR that had an issue and I reverted it and was able to just continue on. And so we shouldn't push directly to the main. We should
But
still
you
use a
could
PR,
revert a commit
but
the
we
same
can-
way, couldn't you?
well, we should use always PRs. I
probably,
think.
but
Okay, sure. Okay, yeah. So let's
yeah,
do
it's
PRs, but
easier
we
to
can
track if it's PRs.
self-approve, maybe.
Yeah. But so I think
Yeah.
my biggest thing is, how can you test the changes? Can you really test and deploy the thing when you do the changes? So really testing that it's functioning, because for me, I would say that's for me the biggest criteria. If you can do a change and you can test it to see that it functions, then I think it will be fine to do so. But if you just do a change and you cannot test it, it's I have a
Yeah,
challenge.
Yeah, because I think Danny's got it up to a point where
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
able
yeah.
to not Taos code, but then all AMF, SMF and UPF code. He's able to bring those up using operators and you make a call, right? So we are, at least we would have to get to that.
Right.
No,
point,
but
right?
can
Yeah.
we repeat
No,
that?
I do understand, Wim. My testing environment is partial, it seems. Dennis goes a few steps beyond me. So I was actually talking to him last night. I wanted to duplicate what he's doing, but he was just boarding a flight. So
Yeah,
I
just-
will
yeah.
talk to him.
My point is that if you can do something like that,
So-
the
so
chances
here's
of
what-
breaking is small, right? At least at this stage.
Yeah.
Right.
So the end-to-end scripts, which tell there's a in the test infra E to E directly, there's a launch script, but there's a whole README on how to do it if you don't use the launch. The launch script is for my convenience, but basically it launches a VM in GCE and runs the entire suite of E to E's, which right now gets all the way up through trying to hydrate the AMF and SMF. It's running into some issues there, and I just tried the UPF independently, and it's running into some small issues there. But we're almost there. And then Dennis already has an E2E script that theoretically will run all through that. So once we can get past the AMF, SMF, and UPF setup, which we're sort of like, we've got the operator running, we've got all the clusters set up. I don't know if there's intercluster networking issues still. There's still probably some roadblocks we're going to hit.
Yeah, I mean,
but
this is not set up right.
It's a completely repeatable set of tests, right? So if you spin up that sandbox, you can then log into it.
Okay.
You don't need to run the tests actually to start. You can just spin it up. You can log into it. You can run your operator there. You can do whatever manual tests you want there, and it's a pure environment. It's just like what we'll do for our sandbox.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely set it up.
That's what
I
I've been
was
doing.
trying to save
Yeah.
time. Okay, I'll ping you
So
out.
even
and maybe
you
we
so
can-
UE run sim is also up after that setup script.
It's not, because if you go look at it, right, what it does is, the first thing it does is set up that whole environment, and that stops at management staging repos being ready. And if you pass an optional flag that says run the E2E tests, then it starts running the E2E tests. The E2E tests go through that README. Basically, there's an automated form of that README. So they check, they deploy the regional cluster, they deploy edge clusters, they deploy the operator, and they do it stepwise, right? And basically it aborts if it doesn't reach the next step. So it's a sort of chain of tests. Now,
Okay.
you can run those scripts individually, or of course, once you're logged in, you can run whatever
Okay,
test
well,
you want
so
manually.
the question
So-
isn't running the internet test because that's obviously not working yet. But then the idea, the question is, if you want to set up the environment we can set up the environment without invoking the end-to-end test, right? So that environment should include everything, so we
Yeah,
can
you just literally
manually
run
make that
that.
call, for example.
Yeah, so just run that launch.sh. I'll put it in the chat.
Mhm.
Yeah, actually, John, all
And-
you're saying right now, if you could put it in Slack, so all of us could follow the same thing, I think that would be great.
Yeah, this last
Yeah,
2 days, I think all of us
so
will
a
have
bunch
to
of folks have
replicate
been
this.
doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bunch of folks have been doing this, right? The
Right, but not all of us.
Ravi and Eric and Vish and yeah. So
John, is your
it's right
README,
here.
is the README not up to date? I think the README, there is a README for deploying it, not? Is that not the one to use?
The README does it. I have the launch script is just for like developer testing. This is the
Okay.
README for
Users.
the README is for like, yeah, eventually this will move to the docs area, but and other folks have been, yeah. So this is the thing. This tells you how to do it manually. What we have is, if you go and you look in the test structure, I'll put it on Slack afterwards. We don't have to talk about it here. But
Yeah.
basically, there's scripts that do all of these steps too, right?
This is the one in the E2E provision directory, right? There is one for quick start for GC, which
Correct,
will take you all
yeah.
the way to, yeah, I can post it on the Slack right now.
Okay, thank you.
One
I
notice.
think Bala has already done it.
One notice about this script launch.sh though, it has the same VM name hard coded in it, and the first step is actually to delete it. So if 2 people run this thing at the same time with some time offset, the second one just deletes the VM of the first one. So just bear in mind to change the VM name.
Okay.
Yeah, call it with a VM name that's unique to your run, please.
Yep.
I'm doing it in my own private project, so it doesn't matter. But for people who are using the Nefio project and GCE project, then it shouldn't apply to Tal and Stephen, who could use
Yeah,
Google
I
resources
have my
instead
own,
of
yeah, I
Nefio
have my own
resources,
accounts, yeah.
Could I, sorry to bring this back to the very basics for the noobs on the call, but would it be possible to kind of like we are still seeing issues in actually trying to deploy the management cluster. I know we're using an Ubuntu VM, but outside of that, I don't think there's anything unique in the system in the platform that we're using. But we're still seeing issues. So the token issue that we were seeing is resolved, but now it seems to be hanging during the kept live init of the management repo. So would it be possible to, I know you saw that yourself, John, but like, yeah, for the complete novices here,
Yeah.
I know people have their own way of hacking the system up, and that's all good and well, but you know, if somebody new came to the documentation and tried to do this, they wouldn't know where to look. And we're kind of in a similar boat, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm seeing a different, slightly different issues now as well. It all seems to go back to the Porch Nefio system. It's even when with the secrets there, and even when you try and stop and start it, and it seems to be actually trickier now. Anyway, we'll walk through it for another while here and see how we go on. But I mean, if people, I mean,
Yeah,
this is unlikely to be an OpenStack issue. I wouldn't think, because we're already well into. I mean, everything's already installed at this stage. If the last, so I mean, I think you probably give a. We probably do need to get some sort of a solution on it, because if people get to this point, they'll get a bit disillusioned, you know. Okay.
Yeah.
So which is the step you are stuck at?
Some race conditions.
So, and you have hands.
What was that?
Yeah. Just one last request for Tal, and echoing what Fiacra and Liam said. Maybe after R1, we should do a design presentation or review. I don't know what to call it. Where, you know, for example, for my case, you know, if Tal could walk through the rationale behind his refactoring, for example, I understand the code, but I don't understand why the refactoring happened beyond what you have said. I want to dive in and say, why did you move things into different files and, that kind of stuff.
Well, I was hoping, I shared the PR many times. I was hoping to get feedback on the PR itself, but yeah, I can go through it. I can definitely.
Right now I have other focus, so I can't really get
Okay.
engaged. So that's
Okay.
why. But yeah, I love to learn more, like why the issues with the management cluster, for example, and I'm hoping other people are having the same desire to learn. So maybe a series of quick walkthrough of what happened in the last few days. But post R1, not.
Yeah, yeah, we can do something like that. I mean, I think that
And I always
Sorry.
insist that reviewing PRs is a way to learn too, and that is why I've always been insisting that a PR remains open for some time instead of just getting merged. So that is one way, because next we move on to the next release and we end up having the same problem. So hopefully it doesn't recur.
Yeah, I think we have some sessions. I think John has a huge epic opened for education purposes, both for the community as well as for the end users. I think that's we're gonna take up post all one. But in the interest of time, can we go with the other issues now? Is that okay?
Oh,
Can
sure.
I just make one
yeah, I
last
think that would be
point
good. I
there?
think, and along those lines, sorry, Liam, what?
Yeah, I say just in the pre-COVID epoch, I would have suggested that we take a few days or a week even sitting together. I know that's not possible or practicable, but maybe after our one, we schedule 3 or 4 days of blocks in the least worst time of the day for everyone and just go through stuff in depth,
Yeah, that
Yeah,
would be awesome.
I think it's a good,
you
we should probably, after R1, we should probably do some of these sessions, because I think in order to get people up to speed, let's do it, right? And let's share the knowledge and we go step by step through it. Maybe we should really go, how do we bring up clusters, right? The whole flow, right? So let's go through it. Of course, our documentation should reflect some of this, but there is a difference between reading a doc and actually having an explanation. I think we have to do both probably in the next couple of weeks after R1. Let's focus a bit of time on education and
learning
and sharing knowledge. That's fine. Right.
Yep.
And that's,
yeah. And then I
will
even
help.
suggest to do that before we do the documents.
Yeah, but okay, I mean, if you look, we are Tuesday evening, right? We have a release.
Yeah,
That's not going to be, I think right now we have to just get it through, right?
No, that's fine. That I agree with that, but I'm saying that we do this some sort of education sessions before we, improve documentation or whatever.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we will go through documentation and then do the session, and then we will improve the documentation based on the feedback that we are getting, right? So that is how I propose to do it for now. Is that okay? All right, we'll discuss the format after we've done one, if you don't mind.
Awesome. Yeah, let's do that. John, you had, I think probably you were supposed to say something. Probably can finish your thought, then we can go through the board.
okay, there's a lot of lag for me, so let's just.
Okay. And probably looks like John is having some issues with the audio. So this one, Wim, I think I know we wanted to hold off on dynamic cluster networking. So where do we stand on this one? Is it a must for R1? Or can it be a user node?
I mean,
yeah.
Script that so if we start with static networking, we have to do the same as what we did in the workshop, basically. So we take the container lab file and we just execute it, and that's what we'll do. But the step will be first bring up all the clusters. So like in our setup, it will be regional H1 and H2, and then you run container lab. So I'll prepare a file for it, but it's basically we just have to change the name of cluster. Either the naming is just to be worked on, and so this will be, let's say, 10-minute work.
Okay, this is for the static one, right?
Yeah, even the dynamic one, I actually have myself working. not the wiring. There's still one change but it comes today. So I have the fully dynamic thing. For me, all the changes that are there are pushed, but I would say let's first get the static thing to work.
Yeah.
And repeatable, and then I would question whether we can put the dynamic stuff in R1, or at least in R1. Maybe we can do it shortly after. That's a bit my sense is, let's first focus on static.
Yeah.
If static does not work today, I mean, then this will definitely not work. Will be in R1, right? So that's my thing.
Yeah, let me
If static works today and it's repeatable, because see, I would like that someone else like John or someone else tries it and says, okay, this is working. I got it to work for now. I mean, I found some issues in the packages for SMF. So I'm fixing that right now and testing it. So my hope is, but I had the same hope last night, that we'll get it to work. But yeah, for me, I already says my view. I don't know what other people's opinion are. Is like, if static does not work today, let's just forget about it.
Yes, I'm total agreement. Yes, let's do that. Yeah.
So when you're saying that this has to work, means like that you can make a call, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So I mean, see, if you look, what I see right now in terms of the steps that are absolutely mandatory, right, is that first we have to get all the things deployed, right? So which means that we have to check connectivity already in that. We have to get, let's say, Tal's thing has to be inside, right? So that's a prerequisite. The specialization has to be inside. We have to then get Steven's things in it. If we are honest, then dynamic will not have a chance to meet in R1, in my view. That's my personal view at this stage. Because these are, for me, the fundamental things to make a call. If those three things don't work, we cannot make a call.
Yeah.
And I would say, let's focus on making the call, than making it fully automated. Probably. I mean, that would be my take at this stage.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether other
Agreed.
people have an opinion, but
Yeah, absolutely agree with that.
You
yes.
know, let's get to where, yeah, let's get everything deployed, everything fully specialized, and once we can make a call with that and statically generated network connectivity, then we can think about anything else. But that, like you said, is let's get the minimum first.
Yeah, which is like having everything in a single cluster, right? Like, I mean, once that works in a single cluster, we can start thinking about like interconnecting clusters and
that's another way to look at it. We can do that. Yeah.
Oh, is that the first thing we want to achieve first?
I don't want to
Single
change the
cluster?
current. I don't want to change. No, I don't want to change the topology. We already
Yeah,
have
we're
a lot
not
of stuff
changing
set up
that,
around
right?
this
Yeah.
topology. I mean,
Yeah,
if everything, we can't get.
Go ahead, John.
Let's so yeah, let's move on to the next issue. I think.
All right, cool. I think that's fine. Let's keep the topology. Let's keep the static thing working. I think probably that should be the scope, because in my view, if the static thing is working, we should just stop there, because Wim, you know, like we need.
Yeah, we need stabilization, right? It has to be stable.
I mean, we need your knowledge, John's knowledge, and other issues too. So, so that's fine.
So when we when we say static, do we say that okay, we provision the clusters, we provision the workloads, and then kind of plumb these clusters? Is that what you mean by static? Because I'm just worried that sometimes
No,
these
so
services have some lifetime where if they don't home, then they not recreate the session or something. So
the flow has to be like this, guy. So we have to deploy the clusters in a dynamic way, right? But we always use, I think, regional and 2-edge, right? Then we have to plumb the networking before we do the specialization, because we are injecting ETH1 into the kind cluster for the secondary networks. And if you don't have that, the deployment will not work. So the step will be, we deploy the clusters, then we run a bunch of, let's say, files that you run, and then you deploy the clusters. So, and that secondary piece will be, we can automate that after R1 probably, right? But for now, that will be the flow, I think.
But we need to also deploy the
Okay,
CPs,
so
right? First,
then
we
if you
have a
can
bunch of
get-
CPs that, I mean, the AMF also requires an N2, I guess, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but we can.
So what I would ask is that, sorry, this lag is crazy. What I would ask is there's that README. Take a look at the README and find a spot in there where you can say, run this container lab script to plumb the network. And then it'll be a note that says, this will be automated as well in the future. And like, so we know exactly where it goes, and then we just have to write that script to do that plumbing. And it's static, it's based on the topology we have. And so wherever it needs to go, let's add the line to the README, and then let's add the equivalent E to E script. It would be like a 00.4.1 or something. I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah, makes sense,
I think that I can do that PR.
Okay, perfect. Awesome.
Yeah, with the CP, I was talking about the ones that are not highlighted, that all the you know, you have ASF and UDR and all that stuff, right? So I was
But Ravi, for now, would it not be better that we take just a flow that it's always the same? So you build a cluster, you then plumb.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that.
You deploy
we
all
do. Yeah.
ENFs with the package and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, I'm just agree with John that it has to be in line with that README. So we just inject it there. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So let's. So Victor, you said that you're gonna do the PR.
Yeah, Bala. I think that I can submit the changes to
Okay, I think you're already assigned, so you're already on the as part of the issues. Okay.
Also,
Yeah.
appreciate
Yeah.
Victor.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, and the next three things, the user guide deployment, I started looking into that. So John, like I said, I'm gonna copy some of the contents from you, from the content that you already produce, either for these talks or the workshop. Some of the relevant sections I will copy there. I'll add some contents, and then I'm gonna do a PR today. And then tomorrow, probably the SMEs. I'm looking at like John, Wim, and Stephen Tall. I mean, if you could add some of the contents here, probably by Thursday morning, if you have some contents to show it to TSC, that would be great. That's for these three sections, these three guides.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So what I'm thinking is probably there are a lot of docs. There are a lot of contents spread in different places. Probably let me try to consolidate them, and then we need to especially the install guide. I think probably somebody like Victor, Ravi, or Wish, if you can help me, that would be great too for this particular stuff. All right. So I think probably tomorrow, John, I'm thinking tomorrow afternoon, it's at least the US time. I think we need a few hands on deck for the doc tasks. Tomorrow evening or tomorrow afternoon.
Sure,
so
Bala, just pull me in later.
Yeah.
Just slap me.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you. That is that. Let's not go through the UI stuff. Package variant set. I think this may not be package variant is in PVS may not be in. That's what my understanding is. That's okay to have for this one. For the first release is what we said. John, any other comment on this one? I don't see anybody. Do we have anybody like Ganesh or Chandra on the phone today?
Let me check.
I don't see.
There was some chatter on Slack, so I think they are working on it, but I'm not sure. Yeah, if they'll be able to get it done, you know, next day or two.
Okay.
It is being worked on.
Okay. Cool. anyway, it's okay even if you don't have it, right? But PVS for R1.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it will make things easier if we can have some UI flows and show people how to edit things. But I think this can follow on. We're not gonna have that kind of documentation right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Eventually, I think we'll do like, okay, if you wanted to change this, here's how you'd go about doing it, and then it would be
Right. Yeah. So for this one, Tal, I think we were looking up to you to give us some guidance on the tagging.
Well, I think we need to wait for the final TSC decision, right? I don't think we.
This is just for the tagging GitHub. How do you want to tag it?
Well, we decide together. I think the decision was that there would be. The proposal was that we would release Nefio, calling it probably just R1, R2, R3, etc. Maybe with point releases if we need. But the proposal also says that per component, there will be a decision. So I don't know. I think maybe we need to define, maybe all our components should be 0.1. I mean, that's one thing we can do.
Okay.
It's not my decision. It's
No, it's not our decision, but I think, Bala, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think was asked, can we make a proposal for the TSC to say yes, basically.
Yeah.
And this, I think the question is for the full release, so not the components. I would think it should be either R1 or R1.0 as my take or my personal view, but one of the two.
yeah.
So my thing was, when we asked in the TSC meeting, they said obviously Kandan has an action item. He's gonna ask the TSC and he's gonna come back to us on Thursday's meeting about what the version should be. But at the same time, we asked him, like, probably we may have to have some tagging mechanism for GitHub, etc. And he said for that one, give us the guidance. I think from the overall release versioning perspective and overall product perspective, if I may say so, I think probably TSCs will give us based on the input that we already given them. But at the same time, there were some concerns about, will it be too late for tagging, for example, packages, etc. in the Git GitHub. So that's where I think it may be slightly confusing actually.
But I think,
Yeah.
I mean, if we have the TSC on Thursday, right, to give us the release name, right? Okay, we'll take it with based on that afterwards. Is that not okay?
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay with me. I mean, I was just thinking, would that be, but at the same time, it also needs to reflect in some of our documents. Probably we can change our documents at that point of time.
Yeah, but let's call it release 1 for now, right? So that's all the guidance that we have. So yeah, let's take a stamp and then we do a search and replace. And
yeah, we could do that. So
it's also possible to change tags. You can force change.
Correct.
Yeah, and there could be multiple tags, but we might not want older tags. But I just want to point out that there are technical aspects because we have different Git repositories for different reasons, and there are slightly different conventions. So for Go repositories, there's the convention of using the V prefix with a semver. So V 0.0, 0.1, something like that. For kept catalog packages, I think it's just V1, V2, etc. So there are just little aspects here that we should probably consider in terms of tagging technically.
true. I think that's where the confusion was. So John, so would that be okay if we wait till TSC gives us this direction? And the most important point that you brought out, Charlie, is we should anyway decide internally how we want to tag our components and packages.
Yeah.
So what would be our package version, release package version?
So package versions are a technical kind of detail.
Okay.
Right? It's about configuration package. And so I don't, like, we could put a second tag on that says this is the version we ship with R1. So we have a repeatable
Uh-huh.
set of things that are R1,
Okay.
but they have to have that package name /VX sequentially increasing. But
Okay.
that doesn't mean they can't have other tags as well.
Okay, got it. Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. So I think probably we'll wait till TSC, then whatever release they want to give us, we will release convention. We'll track with that. Rado, do you see any issues with this?
No, not really. I just have one small favor to ask. Whatever's decided would be great if I know upfront before the tags are created, because those jobs are running on a tag creation. And for now, for all the repositories that produce any kind of artifacts, they're just triggered if a tag in form of like V. So that basically what Tal said for a Go repos, right? So like V something dot something dot something, right? So I will just have to change the pattern which triggers the build for artifacts upfront, but whatever they named, I'm good with. Ultimately, I mean that doesn't really matter. I just
I think it appears to me that we are not going to break the convention for Go or packages. It's going to be V something, but at the same time, we are going to tag that with the release. I think it looks like we are going to have at least 2 tags for each repos. Is that not the right understanding, John and Tal? So we will go with the convention, whatever the Go repos and the packages repos that is needed. At the same time, whatever the release time is, we'll commit. We'll tag that commit as a particular. It could be a release 1 or whatever TSC chooses. So we will have multiple tags. Is that the right understanding?
Yes, I think the package repos are a little odd in the sense that we use tags on a per package basis.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're all in the same repository is sort of a implementation detail of that it's Git, not say OCI, which would be so we tag in Git, we create tags package name /v whatever. So actually, if you tag the head tip or whatever you call it of main at the time of release, that's not going to correspond directly. Like, we're going to have to think about whether we actually push all the latest versions of the tags to match that or something, just for the point of having them all match the same commit. But we can talk about that another time. I don't know.
Yeah.
A sort of weird implementation detail, maybe.
I'm just gonna make a note here. So it appears to me that Radu, we may have to add in addition to what you're doing, not replacing what you're doing, I think. All right, so it may be multiple tags per repo. Got it. So Radu, in the preparation of this, do you think you can go ahead with the preparation of this the pro job to create something like multiple tags per repo? Is that can we start on that one, and then whatever that actual name is, TSC will tell us?
It's already in place. It's just a matter of changing the name. So for now, every builds for containers, for images, they are just, as I was saying, expecting a tag in form v1, let's say .0.0 or something, or v0.1 whatever, but something like this, starting with V,
Okay.
and then there's a numerical value. And then it will trigger a job to build these images, tag them with this tag and push them to Docker Hub. If there's gonna be different convention or different naming, I will just have to need to know this, before those tags are created to adjust the settings. If there's gonna be multiple tags, but one of them will fit to this convention, that's okay. Then it will just go automatically. And yeah, that's basically for all this, all these images that the builds are in place from, I guess like a month or something. So we're prepared for this.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you so much. So then we said this one, we are not going to do anything. Finalize repos and repair packages. We are going to stick to where we are for that one. And then sandbox, should we expose Nephio web UI? We deferred that post R1. This is an epic. And again, this one, wish, Wim, are we in a position to wish to continue this one?
Yeah, we can. So from the moment the changes that so the first thing is we have to merge the PR that I changed based on the issues that we have. So maybe I'll go through that right now quickly. So the issue that John had with the network reconciler is I'm using a library from I got from Google, and it uses a logging. It uses glog, and it
I merged that this morning. I merged it.
Okay, so you merged it. Okay, yeah. So
morning,
there was an issue that
pushed the image. Yeah.
So there was an issue that library with klog and glog were conflicting with the flag. I was using in my setup a different package, so that's why I didn't see this. But I updated that. So that was one. I also built the backend image, so that's now updated. I went through the whole flow. I did also some changes in the the network controller package with permissions. So there was some permissions missing. And I was successful in deploying UPF. I have found some issues with SMF package still. So after this meeting, I will retest it, and I will do the same for AMF. So I didn't test the AMF side, but I think the issues are the same. I quickly glanced through it, so I'll test it to confirm. But I saw one of the issues with the SMF package, which I fixed. And then I think. Yeah, so what you see is that with the error handling that we do in the functions, maybe we are a bit too crude, so we have to make it a little bit nicer, and that's why the AMF fails. Now, I mean, going back to the sequence that I was discussing before, so what I do at the moment in the sequence is really I deploy. Actually, I don't deploy the clusters necessarily, but if you go to the flow, it's probably better to do so. Because if you deploy the UPF package and the SMF and the AMF package, we inject workload cluster inside of these packages. And that means that unless there is a cluster deployed, it will not work. It will not inject that resource because that resource is not available. So that's a dependency that we have. So that's why I was advocating on the sequence. We bring up all the clusters via the scripts that we have. Then we have to do a script that basically sets up the networking part, and then we start deploying the network functions. And that sequence would probably that's the one that I executed. I'll share that in.
So the couple things. Sorry, there's a lag, so I don't know. The PRs you had open with the network controller and with the their fixes. I don't remember the network. Yeah, the Nephio controllers package with permissions and things. I merged all those and I moved the tags so that we don't have to change a bunch of other things. And so I've run a full test of that now, and I do still, like you said, have the AMF and issue and SMF. So there's some issues there. I just tried the UPF, and the UPF gets partway through specialization, but I'm seeing an error. I put it on Slack. You'll see it there with one of the controllers. But yeah, we're getting really close.
Yeah, but I think it's because you. So John, that's because you don't run the file. You have to run these files that I was saying. Those are important. Otherwise, it will not work. There's a few files that you have to run, and that's probably you are not doing that, I think. But I will chat. I'll paste it in Slack right now, and then that's probably why you are not getting the specialization to work. But SMF, definitely there is a problem with the current package.
Okay. Yeah, I fixed some problems with that package. There was like YAML syntax errors, but I somehow got in there, but it still wasn't working. But the last thing I wanted to say was, yeah, that sequence you described is already encoded in e/tests directory as well as that README. So what we're going to do is insert another step in the middle there. So.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. All right. So that is this. So today probably Vish can start looking into this then, the automation part of it.
It would be good once we have it merged that Vish is exercising to see that what we have, what John and I are doing can be repeatable and stuff like that through the scripts and stuff like that. So I think from the moment we have this merged, we should be, yeah, good. Yeah.
And those PRs that need to be merged is already reflected, right, in your earlier comment from last week.
Say again, sorry, Fish, I didn't catch.
No, the PRs that need to be merged, you have already listed them as of last week, correct? In this issue. So that
Wait, yeah, so there is new PRs that I did today, so I did not list those.
I'll ping you, or you can just mention me in the Slack when it's done. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Make a call with, I think, I don't know, I think it's Dennis, he said he may be able to look into this maybe tomorrow. I know he's traveling today. We'll see whether I think he added, I think it's already merged. I think if you see here, but anyway, I think it may not be completely working, but he has put in a work to do the script. He has added that script here at 007. It's a convention that John made for each test cases. He assigned a number. So I think we are good on that as far as just the coding is concerned. UPF instance. This is again 239. Ravi, I don't know, is on the call. I mean, I know it's late.
Yeah.
So Ravi, I think at least to me, you are sounding very robotic. I think we have some audio issues. For others, can you hear Ravi?
No, robotic issues.
Okay.
Still.
No, Ravi. Yeah, I think.
Since we can't understand Ravi, I can give you my update as far as I understand.
Yeah.
So Ravi sent a PR with the script, and I gave it a review, and it's there's a few tweaks to make, but I think it's almost there. And then the SMF one will be almost identical. Like once this one's done, we should be able to take this one and the SMF one.
Okay. Awesome. So assuming Ravi is working on it today on this one, and then same case with the SMF. Okay. End-to-end UI test. Let's not go there. It's going to be manual one whenever we deploy. And then again, all these issues from this point onwards, either it's enough topology or the watcher agent or the status aggregator. So I'll just ask us, I'll just put them together and let's discuss about it. Stephen Tall, what do we let's first talk to Stefan on the topology controller.
Yeah, so as I said, so I get to do the other thing first, and then it's the
Yes.
topology controller.
Right.
I'll take it out of draft stage probably tomorrow, a draft for the PL for tomorrow. And then this is an independently bundled thing, even if we include that. So it shouldn't affect the end-to-end test. But then manually, if someone wants to, they can use the NF topology controller. The backend is exactly the same. The PVS that I connected would be sharing the same name, because by then Vim would have supported it by issues 88. So on the deployment front, it should be relatively simple. Okay. The other part that should be tested sooner rather than later is this interaction with the ESA and Watcher agent.
So on that one, yeah, I'm a bit confused on the ESA and the. I know there are some parts of it is done. So are we claiming it's supported for R1?
So the code changes in the repo. And then Arwen, before he left the community, has tested it in a single cluster setup, I believe, on dummy CLs on quote-unquote edge cluster. But then the ESA to NF, so someone has to post a NF deployed PL to trigger ESA to start monitoring. Well, to inform the Watcher agents to start monitoring. So NF topology controller is doing that. And it's already been doing that. It's just that we haven't done the full integrations. I mean, technically speaking, we haven't tested Watcher agents running on the edge cluster, reading the status from the NF operator anyway. So we have to do that too. So it's more. I would imagine it's mostly testing efforts once we have that. But then the one thing that definitely won't happen for both ESA and NF topology controllers are they're not going to be part of the Nephew operator. So they'll both be independently bundled as an add-on.
Okay. So yes, thanks Stephen for that. So basically they'll be independent at this point of time, but
yeah, it's more testing, I think, right now, more than anything else. Once we have the co-merge, obviously, it's mostly testing.
Yes, so I'm just looking at the time. So we have tomorrow afternoon. I think most of us will be working on the docs. So given that, should we claim it is there in R1, or what do you think, Stephen? I mean, I think should we do this in R1 plus plus, or do you think we should somehow include it in R1?
I mean, for the full integrations for NF topology controller, I mean, if the code get merges, could be there. I mean, we have to bundle it, but then it will affect docs and all that stuff too. So it's a little
spreadsheet.
Yeah, it's a little urging. It's like, yeah, no, it's because there are other things to rush through before actually even getting that out.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's a very high confidence piece in terms of like, because it's a user interface also. So we need good docs. So a towel just dropped, so I can't speak for the integration, ESA integrations. That's something he and I have to work on.
But if it doesn't get hit, we will do it immediately after, right? So and then the question is, do we get it in R1? I mean, there's a few things that we probably really want to get in. Like this one is kind of probably time is against us right now, right? You see what we still have to do, and then we will get it in the next. That's probably, let's focus on getting that in. Depending where we are, maybe it's in. Then we don't have to discuss. If it's not in, we'll do it straight after, right?
Yeah. So I mean, so obviously the SMF things, making a call, is higher priority than any of this. We should also write docs to tomorrow afternoon. So if I can get something tested before then could be. Otherwise, it's probably unlikely.
Yeah, I think that's okay. I think we actually, when we presented this to TSC, I think we put them
as a stretch, yeah.
Yeah, it's a stretch goal anyway, so it's okay. So I think we are okay there. So John, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think just to reduce stress, like let's just defer it till after R1, and Like, if there's a surprise and we can get it in, fine. But I just struggling, and it'd be nice to just have something off our plate. And it can actually be layered in independently. Like, it's there's
Yeah.
another controller you can just turn off,
Yeah.
right? You didn't even
Yeah.
So you could layer it on top of an existing R1 installation, for example.
Exactly. So I'm actually just to be clear, I'm speaking for both NF topology and also the watcher agent. I'm just putting them all together.
Yeah, because maybe we should plan, and
I think they all go together.
yeah, we will build an R1.1 very shortly after with it embedded, right? Because we have to do the scripts, we have to do documents. If you look at all the work, it's probably not realistic to have it in.
Yeah, exactly.
Completely.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah, I think, let's plan our 1.1 in a month or two. Then we'll say, I mean, it's actually reflects well on the community too, if you ask me, because we are making an incremental progress. Actually, it's a great value add to R1 if you do it. It also shows the continuous activity in the community. That's my take on it.
I think that's.
Yeah, I think we don't need to. I mean, that's one more thing, John and the other leads here. I think we need to talk to. I think TSC should be okay with we doing incremental releases between now and R2, right?
Yeah, right. So
yeah, we've already talked about that.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool, that's fine. Yeah, I think that's the board. Thank you. I know we stayed a little bit longer today. Better than yesterday, though.
Yeah, there's one other there's one other new issue I added there in the to-do. And I was hoping Victor could take a look at that, but I would like to get in R1. It gets back to what Liam and Fikro were saying earlier, that like we need to solve some of these issues. This is one of those where it like basically kept live apply.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it just waits forever by default. So I think we need, because it's meant to be like a human tool, not a automation piece, like the kept live apply piece. So we have two choices. One is simply add a reconcile timeout flag to it, which is what I suggest in that issue. That's probably what we should do. If we continue to have issues that with kept live apply, so the only difference there's two differences between kept live apply and cube control apply. The differences are kept live apply maintains a local inventory resource so that you can do pruning properly. We don't care about that because we're doing this in /temp anyway. So that feature of it is not useful in our context. The other thing it does is it waits for the resources that it's applying to become ready. There's some other things it does with depends on and things like that, but we don't use any of those things. So if we continue to have some issues with that, we may just want to switch to just doing cube control apply and just apply all the resources, and which is sort of like brainless, right? You throw it out the API server and you walk away, whereas kept live apply puts it on the API server, then monitors to see that it progresses. But we have other things that are monitored, like we check later to see if things have progressed. So maybe that might be something to alleviate the issues that Fikra and others have seen. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say on that one. So I would love to get, I don't know if Victor has a chance, he would have a chance to do this. It's in the Ansible area, that's why.
Okay,
Would be good.
sure. John, I will take a look and I will try to test both approaches.
Yeah, that's just to add to that, like
Okay.
that's
we
where
still
we're,
want to do the
sorry. No, yeah, just that's where we're stuck at the moment. Sorry, there's a lag there, but yeah, we're stuck at that point at the moment where it's hanging. So it's hanging, trying to deploy trying to initialize the repository for the management cluster. I just posted in the SIG Automation Slack channel. So if anyone else could verify this on an Ubuntu VM to see if they hit the same issue, that would be great. And I guess if the timeout needs to be set, then that would help.
I will try it again later this afternoon, and I'll probably reach out to you. Which is, do you mind on Slack putting the exact step that the README you followed and the step that where you're hitting this?
Yeah, so essentially all we're doing is just doing a wget on the script and passing it to sudo and passing it to bash.
Oh,
So we're not using the
Yeah,
GCE in it
I
because
saw
you know,
this.
you're not using GCE. You're doing it
No.
on your bring your own VM, right? Okay. Because
just
that's
yeah,
another sense.
bring your own VM, just a Ubuntu VM with enough specs, whatever. Like we're using a 16 core, 32 gig RAM,
Okay.
with 200 gig disk, whatever you like, and just a plain vanilla 2004
Mhm.
Ubuntu image. Yeah.
Do you already have an issue open for this? Or maybe if you can add me to the Slack thread, that'll be great so that I can get some context and try it out. So
Yeah,
I have
it's
some,
just
I have some
just
VMs that I
okay,
can
yeah,
actually use.
I think
think
it's an intermittent thing. So
Mhm.
I saw it today with a different kept live apply, not that one, with a different one. So I think it's an intermittent thing, and so yeah,
Okay.
you won't necessarily see it, Fish, if you try it, right? It's not like I mean, they've been seeing it a lot in that environment, and that environment has different timings. And I think
Yeah.
this is like classic race condition, right? And
Yeah.
so
Okay.
The other thing that I want to mention, I just created like a PR for enabling dead containers. So hopefully with that we can well, it's an option to provision like a VM using the GitHub resources. But the good thing about that is like we can homologate the development environments. So I know that feature is not fully supported in all the GitHub accounts. So I don't know which is the criteria that GitHub has for enabling more resources. But yeah, it's another option. So maybe in that way we can minimize the troubleshooting, or using it as an option to validate some testing.
sounds good.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
By the way, one thing, tomorrow I will not be able to join the call because I will be in the plane at this time. But I will be
So come on, you can do that too.
okay.
The internet options on the plane.
Yeah,
There is
I'm
no
going to
other
actually
people
pay
left
for his
with
internet
Wi-Fi
option.
on the yeah.
Depends whether it's Ryanair or not.
See, there is in Europe, not all the planes are Wi-Fi enabled, so unfortunately.
I
But
think I can fund
there
you on a
will be-
plane where there is Wi-Fi connection. I'll take care of that.
Okay, good.
I think you
No,
should.
Vim, you should sleep on the plane, and when you land, you can work nonstop for us.
That's what I'm trying to say. So if there is things, I'll be connected afterwards. So if there is things for me to do, then I will be happy to jump on them after I've landed. So the plane is not so long. So my plane starts 15 minutes before. I normally leave 15 minutes before the call, and it's like 1 hour and a half. So I'll be back after, yeah, probably a little bit after you're done right now. So I'll be back, yeah, around this time, a little bit later, but I'll be back online. All right.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Vim. Yeah, take care, please. Yeah. All right. So anything else before we end the call?
I ask a semi-silly question.
Please go ahead, please. Yeah.
After R1, I mean, first, are we meeting for R1 or post R1 in person?
We can also in the
I
TSC.
think
We can also. Sorry.
John?
the TSC started that discussion, so I think there is a plan, but I don't know when it's going to happen.
Because I vote for us getting together some in person at some point to kind of
Yeah,
celebrate.
Condon mentioned having another one of those in Google type meetups, but then we haven't finalized.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because-
Let's do it after summer, please, because some of us are traveling.
Yeah, obviously, yes.
Yeah. No, because I owe Tao some wine, so I want to pay my debt. Anyway, it would be nice to meet up, but that's it.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely. Great idea, and I really like it. Yeah.
If there is some very, very, very tentative sort of dates or something like that, just could you let us know?
Yeah, cool. Thank
I
you.
think the TSC is planning that, so we'll hear from them.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay, thanks everyone.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. Again.
Thank you.
Again tomorrow. Hopefully, yeah, we'll get it done. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank
we're
you.
almost there.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
Bye.
we'll do that. Yeah.
Bye.
All right.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. If you could stop recording, I'll end the call.